Multi-lingual platform for personal finance from TV9 News Network. I'm Sakshi Batra, and on this show, we're going to discuss all about markets and technicals. To help us understand what is the best way for traders and investors to approach these markets, joining us will be a very special guest just in a bit. But before that, let me quickly request all our viewers who are watching us on YouTube to like and subscribe to our channel, and also hit that bell icon so that you can get notified whenever we add a new video. Also, you can stay connected with us through all our social media platforms. That's Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, where we put out regular updates for you. Also, you can visit our website, money9.com. That is both in English and in Hindi, and you'll get to read up on all the latest news articles on markets. So head on there and visit that too. But for now, let me introduce our guest for the day. We have a very special guest joining in. Mr. Gautam Shah joins in. He's the founder of Goldilocks Premium Research, and he joins us on First Take with me. Mr. Shah, good morning, and thank you very much for taking our time for Money9. Well, we also had a very good chat earlier this, about 2 weeks back with you, and where you also discussed with us a whole lot of outlook on the sectors, the way the first-time investors should be approaching these markets, what are the things one should be wary of. All of those were very well taken by all our viewers as well. Your first take video was one of our best videos also, so congratulations on that. A whole lot of your followers really liked that video. Let me start our discussion today by asking your outlook on the equity markets, and help us understand, are we likely to see continued traction with blips on the way? And do you see that, for about last 150, 160 odd days, no stocks have actually hit 52-week lows? So are you seeing that as an encouraging sign too?
Good morning. Well, thanks for having me. Well, it's a very unique scenario what we've seen in the last few weeks, because if you look at the month of June, the entire month Nifty has been in a 300-point band, which is 2%. Now, I don't remember, the last time something like this has happened. Now, the jury is out whether this is consolidation or distribution. Clearly, there are two camps at the marketplace. But I want to believe that since this is a strong bull trend, it goes through its pauses from time to time. And I think the battle lines are pretty clear in the form of 15,600 on the downside and 15,900 on the upside. And any which way, I think the market had resistance in this 15,900, 16,000 band. So I think an outcome to this range is likely in the next 5 to 10 trading sessions. Whichever way the breakout takes place, the next 5% move should be in that direction. We remain optimistic. We believe that the market is a buy on dips. And I think the banks have to participate if the Nifty has to get past the level of 16,000. So as I mentioned last time, the easy money phase is gone. A lot of stocks are witnessing correction beneath the surface, because despite the Nifty haven't really corrected much, a lot of mid caps and small caps have gone through their bit in the last 2 to 3 weeks. So it's a slightly tricky scenario. We work with levels. I am more optimistic, and once 15,900 is taken out, I think then you could see a move towards 16,250 and 16,600. So being stock specific, theme specific, sector specific, I think is going to be the mantra for the month of July.
Absolutely. But any particular triggers that you are looking out for to understand which way that upside 5% or downside 5% will be able to see? Any particular triggers on your mind?
Well, you're putting me on a spot, but I like to take the challenges. I would be more comfortable on the way up, mainly because global markets are still very steady. Bank Nifty continues to hold above that level of 34,200. So I'm optimistic, I'm hopeful, and some of the technical studies that we track, they are not overbought anymore. They were overbought as we approach 5,900 early in the month of June. But now as things stand, many studies have cooled off with this sideways correction. So more than the Nifty and the Bank Nifty, I think there are a lot of opportunities in stocks which I'm actually looking at.
Okay, understood. I'll ask you one question in Hindi too, because there are a whole lot of audience are sending us messages that can you please speak in Hindi too. So I'll ask you the next question in Hindi. आपसे ये समझना चाहते हैं कि अभी जो मार्केट्स है उसको आप किस तरीके से एनालाइज करेंगे, अगर आप एक पोजिशनल ट्रेडर के लिहाज से आप उसको एनालाइज करें, या फिर एक लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर जो कि ऑलरेडी काफी गेन्स के साथ इस समय ट्रेड कर रहे हैं और इन्वेस्टेड हैं?
देखिए, लॉन्ग टर्म बोलना बहुत आसान है, बट जब करेक्शन आती है तो लॉन्ग टर्म रहना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, क्योंकि उस समय लोगों लोग के पास वो पेशेंस नहीं रहती है अगर करेक्शंस आती है तो आई थिंक अभी के मार्केट में शॉर्ट टर्म से पोजिशनल का व्यू रखना चाहिए. आई थिंक उससे क्या होगा कि आपको मालूम है कि आपका क्या रिस्क मैनेजमेंट है, और 16,000 के इंडेक्स पे रिस्क रिवॉर्ड उतनी आपकी फेवर में नहीं है, और हमें वो समझ के चलना चाहिए। बट एक जो थीम है जो हमें काफी अच्छी लगती है, इरेस्पेक्टिव ऑफ द मार्केट डेवलपमेंट, इज द अनलॉक थीम। आई थिंक होपफुली अब थर्ड वेव कोविड की नहीं आएगी, तो जो एयरलाइन स्टॉक्स है, एंटरटेनमेंट स्टॉक्स है, ऑटो स्टॉक्स है, मेरे हिसाब से ये बहुत बड़ी थीम है। अगर किसी को 6, 12, 18 महीने के हिसाब से अगर ट्रेड करना है या इन्वेस्ट करना है तो इस थीम में जानी चाहिए।
Absolutely. और मेरा सवाल इसी के ऊपर था. In fact, we saw a research from Quantico, which actually said that 65% of India's activity, which actually was lost in the month of May, April, they've actually recouped because of the unlocking in the states. So, help us understand how should one really play slightly in a longer term this unlocked and the economic rebound kind of a theme?
See, one thing is for sure that the market is way ahead of the fundamentals. And I think we've seen that in the last 12 to 18 months. We saw that with metals, we saw that with IT. Before the fundamentals, you and me discussed, the market realized it, and it was up, significantly. So unlock, I think, is a theme because I feel, probably the worst thing possible for the unlock stocks has happened with COVID, in the last 1 year. The first wave and now the second wave. And hopefully with the vaccination drive, we will not see the third wave. If that is the case, I think stocks like Indian Hotels, from the hotel space, Delta Corp, from the entertainment space, Indigo, SpiceJet, these are all big themes which has probably gone through their worst. And the potential upside from current levels, if you take a 1 year, 1.5 year view, is substantial. So don't look at unlock trade from a short-term perspective, because that's going to be vary, because every day morning you'll be seeing the COVID numbers. But hopefully from a year from now, COVID will be done and dusted. And that's when the real return will come in these set of stocks.
Okay, keep an eye out on that unlock trade, aviation space, hospitality, hotels, trains, and entertainment. Look at all of this from a long-term perspective if you need to play out all of this theme. And you did talk about auto as well, and we are seeing a whole lot of action today because of the auto sales numbers pouring in. June auto sales, especially Escorts and Bajaj Auto, we've already seen some numbers coming in. Escorts has come out with a total sales of about 12,500, which is up 15.5%. And Bajaj Auto also has seen about 24% uptick in sales and has sold about 3.5 lakh units this time around. Your particular take on the auto space, any particular favorites here when you could talk about two-wheelers and passenger vehicles?
Well, I'm very optimistic about auto. I think we've covered a few long-term ideas in the auto space at Goldilocks in the last 3 months. And I believe that there is much, much more upside from current levels, because people have started to realize that, sales are going to pick up and the stock prices are going to eventually reflect that. I look at the kind of rebound Maruti has come up with. Bajaj has been rock steady despite the market correction from time to time. Tata Motors has been our favorite, all along. So auto index in particular, our near-term working target is about 11,100. But eventually, I do see the auto index move towards 12,000, which was the previous high. So many other sectors went through their V-shaped recovery and tested lifetime highs. Auto is also doing that, and it could take leadership over the next 3 to 6 months. And there are some marquee names, strong brands, which we really like, the top names that I just highlighted.
Okay, absolutely understood that too. What about the rural theme and this tractor space? We're seeing Escorts has come out already, but because of the normal monsoon and expectation there, again the whole agri theme, specialty chemicals, they're all coming to front right now. Is this a space that you're also watching keenly?
Yes, it's a big theme, but you need to be very selective buying into stocks at these levels, because they've all run up substantially, particularly specialty chemicals. So the opportunities are few. I think if you look at the agri theme, fertilizer stocks have looked very bullish. Look at what happened in sugar. I think something similar could be happening in fertilizer. So we like a bunch of names in that sector. And I think this is a theme which is here to stay for the next 2 years. So use all dips as a buying opportunity. I think, it looks good for the long term.
Right. But if there was one sector, if you had to pick as the prospective outperformer, say in a year's time from now, or the end of the year, or 1 year from now, what would it be?
It would be capital goods, Sakshi. I think we really like the space. Remember, the capital goods index did nothing for a period of 10 years. If you track the index performance, and it's only in the last 3 or 4 months that it's broken out of that range. So what a Reliance did, what pharma did, what IT did, in the last 6 months is something capital goods can do. So stocks like L&T, Siemens, BELs of the world, I think they have substantial upside potential from here. So if you have to take a 1.5 year view, we are very, very positive on this set, irrespective of the market action.
Right. What's your take on the cement space? Again, we are seeing some of these companies constantly find themselves their place in the top Nifty 50 gainers. We see some of these names like Grasim constantly being there. Although there's a slight bit of weakness in Sri Cement, Ultratech Cement, but there are many brokerage houses very positive about ACC, Ambuja. How is this space going to play out from here on? Now that we see that perhaps the worst of COVID is behind us.
Well, I think for the time being, it's done its bit. The
Okay.
risk reward is not justified, to go aggressively long at these levels. We've
Hmm.
been liking Ultratech and Ambuja for a very long time. So
Hmm.
those are our favorites in the sector. It will continue to do well. There are no signs of topping out as yet, but I see it as a market performer. I really don't see significant outperformance from these levels. I think there are better opportunities. I think banks, if the bank nifty does not break 34,200, the chances of a large rally in banking stocks from here is quite high. So that's something that we are, optimistic about. And as I mentioned, auto, capital goods, and the public sector enterprise, where I remain very bullish.
Yes, and I wanted to just take that PSE bit into PSU banks. We have been seeing that off late, whenever we see a spurt in Nifty Bank, it's the PSU banks that are taking the rally ahead, and private banks are taking a back seat right now. So which space should investors really keep an eye out on if they want to stay invested in the banking space?
No, I still want to go with the private banks. Actually,
Okay.
the way the bank nifty is composite, I think what the problem is, PSU banks don't have a very large weightage. So even if they do
Hmm.
well, it will not really impact the bank nifty so much. So
Hmm.
ICICI and Axis are clearly our top bets, from a longer term perspective. And if you have to play the PSU banking theme, I've maintained this all along. It is only SBI. There was a lot
Yeah.
of excitement about the second rung and the third rung, PSU banking stocks, but they have
Hmm.
faltered once again. Any loss of market momentum, and these stocks just go into hibernation. So I'm very comfortable with an SBI and the top private names at these levels.
Right. Now, Mr. Shah, last time when we spoke, you gave a whole lot of interesting investment mantras for all our viewers there that, who are just starting on their journey. One or two tips that you would want to give them. And before you share that, all the investors who are perhaps sitting on profit, perhaps the most difficult decision right now for them is to whether to know, is it time for them to exit and take some profits off the table? How does one really decide that? Help them understand that.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think sometimes it's difficult to handle because you don't want to let go of the gains. At the same time,
Hmm.
you don't want to be in the middle of a large correction. And I think
Yes.
in bull markets, the best technical tool to use is the moving average. So
Hmm.
any of the strongest stocks of the last 12 months haven't broken the moving average. Look at a Loris Lab, look at a Jubilant Foods. It just never broke the moving average, and it just tells you that it's an extremely strong stock. So we at Goldilocks recommend the concept of a trailing stop loss, where as the stocks move higher, you use a 50-day moving average or a 100-day or even a 30-day moving average as a trailing stop. So till that level does not get violated, you stay in the game. I think this is probably the best way to ride the move without getting worried, because corrections will come and go. They will scare you, they will tease you, but the only idea of corrections in bull markets is to shake you out. And if you use a concept like average, moving average, I think you will stay in the game without really bothering so much.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, thank you very much, sir, for speaking to us and sharing all these wonderful insights with all our viewers. And hope to find you back on Money9 very, very soon, so that we can discuss much more on markets and the best ways to deal with the market volatility that we are seeing in the current times as well. Thank you, and hope you take care.
Thank you.
All right, and then let's move on to see how the markets are trading at this point in time. If you see, the markets did open up with mild gains, but now they're slipping into the red. The Sensex and the Nifty down, and just about below that flat line right now, 15,720. The level for the Nifty currently. The Sensex also 52,445 is the level at which the Sensex is trading at, which is just marginally down today. The Nifty Bank also just trading in tandem. 34,742 is the level at which the Nifty Bank is trading at. Talk about the broader market space. The BSE mid cap is still down, and the smaller cap is just trying to hold up above that flat line at the moment, but not too good. Very subdued, muted action being seen in the early morning trade right now. Let's go on to see how the sectors are really playing up right now. So in the initial trade, we only had IT and pharma. just slightly down. Now the picture is slightly changing. You can actually see financial services mildly down as well, apart from IT, which is 0.5% down right now. The media stocks and the private banking space, the other slight laggards that we can actually see. But what's really on top today? It's the auto space, buzzing in top here, over 1% uptick amid all these auto sales that are just pouring in. And all the action will be continuing to let you know which are the companies that have reported their sales numbers, what kind of trends can we understand with respect to the overall demand in the economy, since that is an important sector to track for that sentimental, kind of consumer sentiment tracking as well. For the realty space, 0.5% uptick for this one too, and the metal space is again inching up higher. Let's move on to now see how the gainers and the losers are also placed in the markets. अगर आप निफ्टी 50 के गेनर्स को देखेंगे तो बजाज ऑटो, एम टाटा मोटर्स, इन सभी में अच्छी खासी तेजी देखने को मिल रही है. इनफैक्ट अगर आप देखें तो आज सभी जो गेनर्स हैं वो सबके सब ऑटो स्पेस से ही हैं. 1.25% से ऑलमोस्ट 3% तक की तेजी आपको देखने को मिल रही है. टू व्हीलर्स, पैसेंजर व्हीकल मेजर्स, डाइवर्सिफाइड प्लेयर्स, आप सभी में अच्छी खासी तेजी देख पा रहे हैं फिलहाल के लिए. तो ऑटो स्पेस इस समय सबसे ज्यादा तेजी में. आगे बढ़ते हैं और लैगार्ड्स को देखते हैं कि आज कहां से मार्केट्स में सपोर्ट नहीं मिल रहा है. तो कुछ नाम बैंकिंग फाइनेंस स्पेस से हैं, इंडसइंड बैंक, बजाज फाइनेंस. आईटी स्पेस से इंफोसिस टेक और एचसीएल टेक्नोलॉजी में अगर आप देखेंगे तो थोड़ी प्रॉफिट बुकिंग जरूर देखने को मिल रही है. श्री सीमेंट्स में भी अगर आप देखेंगे तो यहाँ पर आज 1% तक के आसपास की वीकनेस अभी भी जारी है. ओवरऑल अगर आप देखेंगे तो मार्केट्स में फिलहाल एक सबड्यूड एक्शन देखने को मिल रहा है, लेकिन बहुत सारे टिप्स आपको मिस्टर शाह ने यहाँ पर दिए हैं कि कैसे आपको हर सेक्टर को देखना चाहिए, अप्रोच करना चाहिए एक ऐसे मार्केट्स में जहां हम कांस्टेंट वॉलेटाइल और रेंज बाउंड मोमेंटम देख रहे हैं. पोजिशनल ट्रेडर्स, लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर्स, इन सभी के लिए उन्होंने काफी सारे टिप्स दिए हैं. ये जो वीडियो है ये अपलोड हो जाएगा तो आप हमारे यूट्यूब चैनल पर देख सकते हैं. साथ ही साथ आप इस चैनल को लाइक और सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और एक बेल आइकॉन होगा उसे हिट करना मत भूलिए. इससे तुरंत ही आपको नोटिफिकेशन मिल जाता है जब भी Money9 एक नया वीडियो लेकर आता है. इसी के साथ साथ आप हमारे साथ हमारे सभी सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म्स के थ्रू भी कनेक्टेड रह सकते हैं. इन सबके हैंडल्स आपके स्क्रीन पर नीचे दिए हुए हैं. यहाँ पर जाकर आप हमें फॉलो कर सकते हैं ट्विटर, इंस्टाग्राम, फेसबुक और लिंक्डइन पर. और हमारी वेबसाइट money9.com पर जाकर आप पूरा ही लोडर ले सकते हैं कि किस तरीके से आज मार्केट्स परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं, पर्सनल फाइनेंस स्पेस में क्या बस चल रहा है और बिजनेस स्पेस में सबसे ज्यादा आकर्षक न्यूज आपके लिए और इंपॉर्टेंट न्यूज आपके लिए कौन सी है. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया जुड़ने के लिए.